Hello everybody, this is Kate at the Library of Whispers, and today something a little different. As a kind of counterpoint to the video I did about the negative comments that I have received, strangely enough, yesterday I came across this article on the BBC News app, and I read it and it was very interesting, and I thought that you might like to take a look at it. Maybe some people haven't seen it, maybe if you don't live in the UK you may not have access to this, I don't know, you may do. But anyway, I thought it was interesting because it isn't actually about ASMR itself, but it is about people who read books to other people, and it's a very positive story, which is something I think we all need sometimes. There's so many negative stories at the moment, and of course it's coffee time, and today I'm having a Bailey's Irish cream latte as a bit of a treat. As you know, I normally just have the ordinary, straightforward one without the flavour, which is still delicious, but this is particularly delicious. So, can you hear that? Makes a crunchy sound. I'm going to take a sip. That is so good. So after I've read this, I thought that I'd also do a little show and tell. I bought some new coffees which I was going to show to you. So let's read this. It's called Crossing Divides, Why I Read Aloud to Strangers. Now, of course, this was very poignant for me because this is exactly what I do. I read aloud to strangers, although I can honestly say that I don't feel as though I'm reading aloud to strangers anymore. Well, I'm whispering to strangers most of the time, but the word strangers always sounds slightly unfriendly, and I don't think of any of you as strangers anymore. I feel that I've got to know quite a lot of you through your comments, and anyway, so let's read through this. An online project is asking lovers of literature to read aloud to strangers, but what do participants get out of it? During the week, Joe Jeff manages an IT department for an auto parts producer in Detroit, Michigan. Every morning is pretty similar. A 5:30 a.m. start, then shower, dress and head out the door. But Sundays are different. It's still an early start, a habit he can't shake, but there's also a full head and neck shave, laundry and a rush to the local coffee shop in his sweats and slippers. He hopes the neighbours are still asleep and don't catch him. By 7 a.m. he is sipping his Americano in the comfort of his living room. Feeling ready for adventure with Read with Audrey, a free online book app where people read aloud to each other. As Joe hooks up with his Brazilian reading partner, Lisandro Gertner, via Google Hangouts, he is transported to places such as Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, California's Salinas Valley in winter, a penal colony on a tropical island, or a library containing every work that could ever be possibly written in the universe. When I first read about the idea online, I'll admit I thought it a little strange. My friends certainly find it strange, says Joe, but I'm retiring in 10 years, and having majored in literature, I knew I'd really enjoy the experience. I'm looking for new hobbies for when I'm not working so much, so I thought, why not? As well as matching up partners, the project selects texts timed at 15 minutes. Before Lissandro, Joe was set up with Holly, a working mum in Austin, Texas. He reads with her once a month now, rather than weekly, due to their busy schedules. Our first story was an abridged version of The Wind in My Hair, My Fight for Freedom in Modern Iran, a memoir by journalist Mazhar Alinejad, says Holly. She's an engaging writer with a fascinating personal history. It was a great selection. Just going to grab some coffee. Now Holly chooses her own readings, something romantic for February, Irish author Samuel Beckett for St. Patrick's Day. And then they put some tips for reading aloud. Lissandro chooses to focus more on short stories by Brazilian authors such as Machado de Assis, Raquel de Queiroz and Paulo Scott. It's nice to let the other person learn more about you, what your reality is, and you can do that through literature, he says. You never just read a story, you always talk about how the issues in it affect your life and what it means to you. You can share what you like and discover new things together, and that's friendship. This is no accidental consequence. Read with Audrey's UK-based founder, Rob Paul, a former psychology teacher, says he was inspired by a set of therapeutic elements common to all, types of talking therapy such as personal warmth, compassion, empathy, authenticity, active listening, mutual respect, and human connection. I asked myself, where else do we experience the presence of these ingredients in our ordinary day-to-day lives, says Rob from North London. One example was when I read aloud to my children. The simple stuff of a book, a voice, and a little time creates a wholesome energy for the heart, mind, and imagination. I thought, how can I recreate the closeness, the moment of shared humanity, and the genuine emotional connection with others I don't know? The benefits of reading to strangers. According to The Reader, a charity coordinating shared reading across the UK and beyond, reading aloud can change lives by improving well-being, reducing social isolation, and building stronger communities. Just going to take some coffee. It works with children in care, prisoners, people recovering from substance misuse, living with dementia or mental health issues. And it says studies undertaken with the University of Liverpool point to statistically significant improvements in the mental health of depressed patients who attended shared reading groups for a year. Laura Prime, who discovered The Reader through a mental health recovery college in Crewe, says, everything was medical, managing this, managing that, when I really couldn't manage anything. Now I often tell people that I read myself better. Oh, I like that. Read myself better. However, reading aloud is not always easy. Joe says he often gets nervous when having to voice female characters. Laughing, he admits he is not great at dialogue but is improving. When reading one short story, he choked up. The One Who Walks Away, from Omalas, depicts a summer festival in a utopian city where prosperity depends on the perpetual misery of a single child. Gosh, that sounds heavy. The people sacrificed heaven and chose to leave rather than stay in a place where one's suffering was a requirement. That message was powerful, he says. Lissandro gave Joe a moment before discussing why the story might have affected him. Lifting a veil. Before television, radio and the internet, people used to read to each other all the time, says Lissandro. Reading aloud was not just to children. We've lost that. I think I might agree, actually. With thousands of people signed up to Rob's project, he's exploring the concept of an orderly phone, With just one button, it could connect you to someone somewhere in the world willing to read you a story. The idea is that people will come across the phones randomly in hospital waiting rooms or offices. By reading aloud together, I hope people will be moved to talk about their own stories and emotions that they have shaped who they are, says Rob. By lifting this veil between strangers and understanding each other's stories, hopefully people will be reminded how much they have in common and be more encouraged to see the world through the eyes of others. That's such a good article. So let's read the suggestions, the tips for reading aloud. Number 1, read slowly and clearly. Number 2, sometimes when nervous we speed up. Remember to breathe. Number 3, check pronunciations beforehand. Oops. I generally don't do that. There are glossaries with longer or lesser known words within the app. So this is the app Read with Audrey. Number 4, remember it's natural to stumble over words or falter when reading aloud. It's part of the experience. Now, that's quite interesting because when I first started, and obviously when you're reading and recording, mistakes happen. Sometimes there is a loud noise and you have to stop and start again and that kind of thing. And my pronunciation is often horrendous. And I realised that I would often apologise to people and say, I'm so sorry, there are some mistakes in this video and that kind of thing. And interestingly, the response was usually, but that's what makes it more personal. It's not like listening to a very professional audiobook, somebody reading something very professionally, like you might get on Audible, I suppose, which is a great app for anybody who wants to use it. I've used it myself, but there's something a bit different about an ASMR reading, I think. It's definitely more personal, and the fact that sometimes you make mistakes or stumble upon your words or use or filler words or whatever, like I'm doing now, or you laugh or you make sort of noises, the kind of noises that you would make when you're talking generally. But anyway, now I'm rambling. And so let's have some more coffee, and then I'm going to show you some of my new coffees. So the first one is Little's Havana Rum flavour infused instant coffee. I've already got a Little's coffee, but that one is coffee and chocolate, I think. Might have hazelnut in it actually, I can't remember now. Anyway, this is very, very nice. I do like rum anyway. It just looks like ordinary coffee inside. As you can see. But it smells absolutely divine. Just gonna smell some. You can really smell the rum flavour. So I've already had 2 cups of coffee from this Little's Havana Rum. It was very, very nice. Very nice. Hope that's not too loud. And then I got this one, amaretto and almond, and it's one of the beanies flavours. Haven't actually opened this one yet. you can see. Now, I have tasted this before because you may have seen in another video that I've had the sachets of these Beanies coffees, and I'm pretty sure one of them was this amaretto and almond. I think I liked it. I hope I did. Well, I've got a whole jar of it now, so hopefully I will like it. And then the next one, let's move him over there, is cookie dough. Wow. Cookie dough coffee. Can you believe it? Again, think I might have had one of these coffees in a sachet. It's Beanies again. Don't think I've opened this one yet. No. Not opened yet. But as you can see, I do like my flavoured coffees. And time for a Bailey's latte. So good. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for popping by. This is Kate at the Library of Whispers, saying, I shall see you very soon. Bye for now. Bye bye.